a menage a trois of NXT. You normally have to pay double for that kind of action, Cotton. It's the NXT podcast hosted here on WrestleTalk Podcast. I am your host, Tempest, the Quizzlemania champion, and I am joined by your new co-hosts of the NXT podcast, SP3, the former Intercontinental champion, the former Quizzlemania champion, and Sat Niangi. What a wonderful pair of boys here to talk about NXT. How are you two doing on this fine day?
Splendid, wonderful. It is a new era. This is the prelude to Mocha 2.0. You people all made it happen. Your requests to Ali and Luke made it possible. The LIW boys made it possible for us to be here and gave us the graveyard shift so we can move up the ladder of the WrestleTalk Podcast YouTube channel. And I am glad to be here with my brother from another UK mother, Sat Niangi.
Oh, he hit me with the E. The E stands for Ito Ewan. Shout out to Big E with a superhuman neck, making it out, not getting the fatality. I've been debating whether or not to drop the E. May have to do a poll on that. But for today, I'm still Sat Niangi. And it's a pleasure to be here. Tempest is the new Quizzlemania champion. He channeled the spirit of Sat E. He did it for the Sat. And listen, we all get along. Can we coexist on this podcast? We've got the former champion and the current champion. And we all know that SP3 was a great Quizzlemania champion. He held it with such prestige, nobility. I look up to him. He's my big brother. He's my number one brother. Mocha 2.0, the originator. But yeah, I'm excited to do this. I mean, Tempest, for the last time, what's causing all this?
All right, well, we're gonna get into all of this nonsense that is NXT. I thought this was good. This was like a really solid show. I thought for like 98% of its runtime. There was some nonsense throughout the show for sure, and then the show just went on like 2 minutes too long, and I was like, well, now it doesn't make sense anymore. So the gist of this is that the main event of this show was the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic as Wendy Choo and Dakota Kai faced Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai. A good match, I thought. A good match, a good main event match. Pretty standard stuff. I said in my edited review, which I believe has gone live at this point. At this point, time changes and everything. I have no idea. I don't know what people have heard me say at this point or not. But I said that this show, all the matches had like different levels of simplicity. Like they never went crazy over the top complicated with everything. It was just the different levels of simplicity, whether it was, this is going to be a 3-minute match and we're not going to do too much, or more is less and we're going to just milk things and actually get the most out of very little. This I thought was the latter, where they didn't need to do too much, but they had a few really fun spots, like Wendy Choo blocking a 619 with a pillow. Fun spot. Wendy Choo doing a Hurricane Rana and landing in like a sleeping position while Io Shirai lands on her feet. Fun spot. And this just kind of kept going. They had a good match. Eventually, they had some really close near falls. Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai eventually hit the KLR bomb and the moonsault on Wendy Choo for the win. I was expecting more sparks, between Wendy Choo and Dakota Kai. Maybe tease something, but it appears that this is just going to be a storyline that will keep going. But then after the match, they said, no, we don't want this tag title shot. Thank you for asking. We're both going to take these tag title shots and cash them in on the singles title at Stand and Deliver. Now, there's the part of me that says that is not how that works. If anything, you'd have to like win 2 tournaments to get 2 title shots, because it's not like, it's not 1 for 1 like that. You can't go 2 for 1 on title shots. That's in lunacy. You can't do that. The other side of my brain says it's pro wrestling. Who cares? Don't blow a gasket over every little thing. Where should I be from A to Z on this issue, lads? SP3, we'll start with you.
I would say the former, because them going through an entire tournament and winning and then saying, you know what? F those women's tag team titles. Forget them. We're going for the big goal because that's the one that matters. Is another example of why the NXT women's tag team titles are the most useless titles in the entire WWE. And yes, I said entire WWE, and that's including the 24/7 title, because at least there's a point to that. That's supposed to be comedy. It might not make us laugh, but the design of it's a comedy title. There is no point to these women's tag team titles because we have the WWE women's tag team titles that went to all three brands. So why don't you just continue that instead of introducing a whole title where it necessitates that you have to put teams together, you have to create teams, you have to break them apart. And we've had about 6 or 7 different champions in a year's time. These titles don't make a difference in the world, and Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai confirmed that last night.
Very well said. I mean, I've been saying exactly that about the NXT women's tag titles, like, not even since they got introduced, since before that, since they were like reported upon, like, oh, they're gonna bring in NXT women's tag titles. Like, that's a terrible idea. You don't have enough women's tag teams to support your main roster, let alone another set of titles. And yes, here we are, still going through the same problems. Sat, what do you make of all of this?
Well, guys, if you remember, Shawn Michaels has clearly studied the WWE handbook, the rule book he studied when he was commissioner. It does not state whether or not if you win a tournament, you cannot cash it in for a different title. Allegedly. I don't know.
I mean, it did say that you get a NXT women's tag team title shot if you win the Women's Dusty Rhodes Classic. It did say a rule. It didn't say the other one doesn't mean that it didn't state the first one.
First of all, guys, I agree with you. It's a useless piece of junk, extra luggage. You know, the tag title shouldn't exist. I'm with you on that. But on the bright side, because I like to see things on the bright side, Devil's Avocado. Wendy Chu and Dakota Kai could challenge for the title since they were second place. If they're not going for the title's now up for grabs. Technically, Wendy Chu and Dakota Kai can go stand and deliver for the title. That's what came into my head. I'm trying to think the bright side. Yes, it doesn't make sense. It devalues and only, a title that hasn't really basically been built. It's just an extra title that's just been there. Like we all said, like the tag team titles, which is currently on Raw, should have been the title that get traded around in each brand. But we have a tag team title. Every brand needs a title. Every division needs a title. Even the comedy wrestlers need a title, hence 24/7 title. But I agree with you guys. But I'm hoping that Stand and Deliver, the tag titles, will be defended with Wendy Chu and Dakota Kai. You don't want it to be defended.
I hate to tell you, the reason why they put these two women in this match is because they gave Stand and Deliver a 6th match with Gunther versus LA Knight, so they weren't gonna give us a 7th match. They've never gone over 6 matches for any NXT special, not even the ones on television. So they are not gonna do it here unless they're just gonna toss one on the pre-show, maybe.
Wait, then this is crap. What the heck's going on? What are they doing? I'll come up with this theory and hypothesis, and this is the crap they give me. WTF, F-bombs, mud mother. I said F-bombs. No, F this crap. No. Let's move on, man. This is stupid. What the heck?
Well,
I'm thinking there's a silver lining. There's no silver lining. It's just a pile of crap.
It's okay, Sad. It's okay. You'll get used to it. Everyone remembers her first NXT. I will say, I think, trying to look at the bright side of this, I do think this improves the quality of the NXT women's title match at Stand and Deliver by a considerable margin. You add Io Shirai to any match and the average will go up, and say the same thing about Kaylee Ray. Add her to the match and it's going to get better. So as an end to a means, that match will probably be a lot better for it. So I don't want to complain too much, but it's like if you told me ahead of time, hey, this is where we want to end up. We want to end up with these two, Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai, challenging Mandy Rose, and we'll say Wendy Chu and Dakota Kai to challenge for the tag titles. I think there's a much better way to get to all of that than just having a tournament where it doesn't mean anything at the end, and then having potentially just the runner-up, like the last person to lose, challenge for the tag titles instead. I think you could have done a lot where like maybe one side of the semifinals, with the side that happens first is Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray. We'll make that happen, and we'll make Mandy Rose interfere in that match, but they still win. And before you go to the Wendy Chu Dakota Kai match, you can say that at that point, with them having qualified for the finals, they're going to give up and forfeit their chance to be in the tournament and to have a chance at Mandy Rose, or to have a chance at a number one contenders match for Mandy Rose, and then treat the other semifinal as the final, basically. Just whoever wins that, therefore, then is the winner. You could do that and just have nobody lose that doesn't need to lose, is my point. I don't know. I'm just pontificating fantasy booking at this point. I just think there's a better way to protect as many people as possible in a situation like this.
I have a feeling you thought about that way more than they ever thought about the plan that actually went through, because this kind of seemed like the direction they were going to in like February, when Kaylee Ray had first like kind of started, going after Toxic Attraction. You had Io Shirai just lose Zoe Starks, and they were like talking on commentary about her being the greatest NXT Women's Champion. So you could have set all these things up. We didn't need a whole week of Cora Jade becoming Kevin McAllister last week to set up her title match. And I mean, I wasn't here on that episode, but I'm still trying to figure out why she went up to Mandy Rose's white Range Rover with white spray paint. I'm still trying to figure that out, ladies and gentlemen, because she had white spray paint and then decided otherwise to go into the car and try to steal it, I guess, and then she got assaulted for that, and then she got the white spray paint that she brought on her back. I'm still confused about that, but we could have saved that to kind of build up Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray and Cora Jade to go after Mandy Rose. But I 100% agree with you. The light at the end of the tunnel is that the women's titles match is significantly better than it was last week with Cora Jade and Mandy Rose just in the match alone. And I think it was another point of them saying, we don't have that much faith in Mandy Rose and Cora Jade to have a great matchup, so we got to throw in the best two workers in there with them. So it is going to be a better matchup overall, so that I can be happy about.
Do you think Mandy Rose is the reason? I don't know. Cora Jade's proven that she can go in the ring. Do you think it's more Mandy Rose?
When does she prove she can go in the ring? Because I don't really think she's had a good to great match yet. She's still kind of green. I think that she has something in her. She has a great deal of potential, but I can't run off a couple of good to great matches she's had since she's been on NXT. When she was Elena Black on the Chicago independent scene, I've seen a couple of great matches by her, but her as Avril Lavigne 2.0, I have not seen too many great matches as of yet.
You're right. I haven't been watching that much, so I can't stay off. The only thing I say is she did a great sell job of her shoulder when she fell off the cage. She's a good sell job. Yay. She got good fundamentals. Yay. Mandy Rose is champion. Hey. Hey, it's been hey.
I agree. I think it's just a matter of putting like just more experienced and good workers in the ring and just trying to like just raise the average. I could see them do. I mean, they were doing this years ago with like Io Shirai and Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane and all that. Like they love doing these multi women's matches in NXT. They always have. It's been going back a long time. But we'll get into some of your Ultra Chats now. If you want to have your thoughts read out on the show, make sure you send in your chats to WrestleTalk.com/support, and we will read out any and all that are $5 and above before the end of the show. So AO1012 says Gigi has to be hurt for the switch, and she left before the brawl to end the show. I don't know if Gigi Dolan is hurt or not. I've not really been paying attention.
That's what I heard. I heard that apparently she's injured or something based on Twitter.
Twitter never lies, so I guess we have to take it as concrete fact in that case.
It's like Wikipedia. It's factually correct. It's like Wikipedia. Come on, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't listen to your teachers. Quote Wikipedia. Don't listen to me. We have one left over from Raw, from Joseph Ray, who's been a member for 9 months in a row. Very nice, very nice. Saying, hi, guys, going to be at Raw in Pittsburgh next week. Also going to London next year as well, and need to know, is a Greg's sausage roll worth it? Sat?
Yes, 110%. Greg's sausage roll. Maybe you want to put some baked beans on that. You know what I'm saying? Tastes good together. So if you come to London, go to Greg's and tell them Sat send you. They don't know who I am, but it sounds good when you say it out loud.
Excellent. Pete was talking about having worked at Greg's in his time in the service industry on After Dark today. So make sure you sign up to our Patreon for After Dark as well. And Mayor of Painesville, Dan, hi Dan, says SP3, Tempest, and The Rock. I am raising my eyebrows. Who is that good-looking man right there? Oh yes, it's Dwayne E. Niangi. It's Wednesday, so it is time for the Dex Express. Question: is Dexter Lumis an enhancement talent? I think he's not. Where are we at with Dexter Lumis? Because he is very near the start of this show.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really have a direction now, unless his direction is being, I guess, Mark Merrow in this whole Mark Merrow Sable versus Goldust and Luna Vachon type of angle they're doing with Indy and Dex versus Duke and Persia, or should I say Dusha?
You don't have to.
They legitimately said that on the show.
I have a Dusha. I stick up the rectum. It's a good thing to flush and clean. A Dusha is good, man.
I don't think that was needed information at all, but that's cool.
You gotta cleanse the stomach, guys. After some Greg's, you gotta cleanse the stomach.
Oh, goodness me.
I want to say that Dexter Lumis is like one of those guys that I mentioned to Tempest last week. These guys have been on there for too long. You know, Cameron Grimes, Santos Escobar, guys that should be on the main roster. Dexter Lumis is a guy who should be chasing after the 24/7 title. I can see him and R-Truth already having sparring matches for the title, even teaming up. R-Truth and Dexter Lumis is a tag team. You got Serial Killer and R-Truth. I mean, it's there already. He's been there for too long. His direction is because they've played out every angle you can play with a serial killer that people are kind of oblivious to, because that's his gimmick, right? He's a serial killer. But we're not kind of sure about that, because it could turn out he's just a weirdo.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate when it just turns out that he's a weirdo, and you find out later that he's got the bodies in the basement. Oh no, he was just a weirdo. We didn't have any idea. We just found his weird little art room with a bunch of paintings everywhere of knives and blood. Oh, no one had any idea though.
But don't you agree, guys? He should be on the main roster, right? He should be running around for the 24/7 title, and you know, he's not gonna fight.
Yeah, I look at someone like Dexter Lumis, and I think his main roster ceiling is like 24/7 comedy character. And he could do a lot with that, like painting pictures backstage or whatever, but I think that's what he's looking at. Whether he's content with that or not, I don't know. I don't know him personally.
I mean, I don't see him really, you know, like you said, if his ceiling is 24/7 title on the main roster, does he really want to go to the main roster? I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know about you. I'm a happily, not taken man, but I would rather kiss Indy Artwell than chase around R-Truth.
That is not a bad point. I believe he's married. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know where I'm getting that. Regardless, we'll get into the rest of your Ultrachats later on in the show, so make sure you send them all in, any that are $5 or above, at WrestleTalk.com/support, and we will get through all of them before the end of the show. In the meantime, we will start at the beginning, where we should start, as Solo Sikoa defeated Roderick Strong to qualify for the North American Championship ladder match at Stand and Deliver. This was another simple but good match. They did not do too much. We didn't get like crazy Roderick Strong backbreaker, none of that. It was just a pretty simple Roderick Strong match, and Solo Sikoa won with the frog splash with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams on commentary. Pretty simple stuff. Solo Sikoa advances. I think that's pretty much what we assumed would happen. We like Solo Sikoa and think he kind of fits with this 2.0 ladder match that they're kind of going with, and I think that works very nicely. What did you guys think?
SP?
I enjoyed this match. I mean, Roger Strong has literally never had a bad match, and I've been watching him for about 20 years. So I've never seen the man have a bad match, but he is pretty much the kind of the jobber to the stars now. or the future stars on NXT or NXT UK as well, because we know he's not going to beat Ilya Dragunov for the NXT UK championship unless NXT UK has become NXT 2.0 and someone from NXT going there is like someone from the main roster coming to 2.0. We don't know, but right now he's going to be used to put over guys like Solo Sikoa. I thought that this was Sikoa's probably his best match, right up there with his match with Gunther a couple of weeks ago. He showed a lot. It was simple yet effective. Him getting the win makes a lot of sense, him advancing in. But the best part of this whole entire match was Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes on commentary, which is WWE's answers to Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett from Bad Boys. I'm talking about Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. That they are the best combo, the best thing. I went to them on commentary all night after this opener.
Yeah. Sat?
You know what? I felt like it was a match between two guys who shouldn't lose. Solo Sikoa is a rising star, hence why he won. But like SP3 mentioned, it seems that Roderick Strong has lost every significant feud ever since losing the Cruiserweight title. And Roderick Strong is too talented of a guy just to be reduced to a Chris Jericho later portion in his career where he's putting guys over. There's still more he could do. Probably in the main roster. He's one of those guys who'd be great on the main roster, but I understand that you need someone like Roderick Strong to teach the younger guys, to give him reps in the rings. I understand his value at NXT. I just wish he won more matches so he looks credible, because the more he loses, you devalue the brand that is Roderick Strong, and you also kind of devalue Diamond Mine. The whole point of Diamond Mine is a roster of champions. When the leader's not winning that match, you tend to cut off the head of the weaker link, if you know what I mean. But it was a good match, but you can tell they're holding back their best moves for a proper, pay-per-view feud. So, it was just a TV match. But the next time they wrestle each other in a pay-per-view, I know it's going to be a banger. But yeah, it was good for what it was.
Right, yeah. I mean, it was a TV opener, right? It kind of was what it should have been. I don't know that I agree that Roderick Strong's like one of the guys that would do well on the main roster, because to me, he fits the idea of like a Kyle O'Reilly type guy who is just like, I don't know if Vince is going to get Roderick Strong. So I don't really know what to hope for in regards to him. But the best is the answer. I hope for the best for Roderick Strong, whatever that means.
As soon as Sat said that, I was like, Sat is giving away that he hasn't been watching the main roster much. Also, because
I've been watching
because someone who has showed more charisma than him, Cesaro, just left the company. So, like, if they couldn't do anything with Cesaro, they're definitely not going to do anything from Roderick Strong. I see a couple people in the chat are saying the same thing that I think when I'm watching Roderick Strong on NXT 2.0 is that this seems like a guy that in 6 months is going to be in AEW and probably be better off back with his undisputed buddies.
He just re-signed with them, though.
I know.
But have to take another release and everything, which unfortunately is not out of the realm of possibility. But he does kind of feel like he's caught in no man's land currently. And I mean, if they did business differently, I think he would make a perfect like coach at the Performance Center. But I also thought the exact same thing about like Bobby Fish and guys like that. So like I can't just use that as my argument anymore on why they should keep him and why he should be happy to be there and everything, because I thought the same thing about other people. So I don't know. Yeah. Regardless, we move on. Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta are arguing about who had the better kiss and whatever. They said the name Duja and I turned my brain off. Dexter Lumis wrestled Tony D'Angelo. This was a very strange match. Dexter Lumis did a fallaway slam, though, so extra points for that. I love the fallaway slam. Duke and Persia. Okay, I can't handle this finish. All of my notes are just the finish because there's so many steps to the finish, right?
Yes.
Duke goes to distract Dexter, and then Indy grabs the crowbar away from Tony D'Angelo, and Persia grabs the crowbar from Indy Hartwell. Why would she do that? What is the purpose of taking the crowbar from Indy Hartwell? That's question number one. Then Tony D'Angelo grabs the crowbar and kind of like wrestles it away from her, and then like accidentally turns and swings with his momentum and hits Dexter Lumis. Why is he hitting Dexter Lumis by accident? He should be meaning to hit him. this whole angle like melted my brain. The bottom line is Tony D'Angelo took out Dexter Lumis and won with his swinging neck breaker, and then after the match, Tommaso Ciampa hit him with the fairy tale ending and said that at Stand and Deliver he's going to have a fairy tale ending. That was the gist of the segment. But why that finish had so many steps to it, I like at a certain point they just completely lost me. Sat?
You missed the best part. The referee turned as well. Why is the referee turning? What is referee goes, don't hit me. The referee missed the shot. No, referee, you saw where it was going. That's an automatic disqualification because somehow Dexter Lumis fell down when everybody was cringing. So for me, that was the biggest BS of that match. Yeah. Why is the ref like all of that makes sense? Why is D'Angelo doing it by accident? But for me, it's like, why is the referee shielding his eyes or he turned like the rest of them? So for me, it's like, referee, do your job. Like, it's like, oh yeah, Dexter Lumis, he got hit with an elbow or something, or maybe I tripped him up.
You know? Dive out of the way of a smoking gun. You hear a bang, look back, he's dead. It's like, I don't know what happened.
Can't let me do my job. 1, 2, 3.
He was a zombie referee. He was a stag dude. That's actually his zombie referee. One of his buddies, one of his like groomsmen or whatever. It's him.
Yeah, all of this did not make any sense. I still couldn't get over the first part that Tempest said with why is Persia taking this away from Indy? I know they're feuding, but they're still tag team partners, still making entrances together and still sharing the same locker room, but they're feuding. Yeah. So that's why she took the crowbar away, but then she play fights Tony D over the crowbar when the whole point was to get it away from Indy. I thought she would just be like, here you go, instead of him having to wrestle with him. And then the last part with the referee diving out the way and not calling a DQ when he saw a crowbar coming, he probably felt Dexter Lumis behind him. None of this made any type of sense, but Tony D got the win, so that was the right outcome to give him some heat going into Stand and Deliver. He's one of the more over-the-top characters on this show, but he works with it. It works well with it overall. I'm not sure about him being the guy to be Tommaso Ciampa's last NXT match, but I think Ciampa is playing into what we are all talking about, which is him eventually ending his run in NXT, going up to the main roster, and hopefully that's a good thing for him overall.
Fingers crossed indeed.
Also, guys,
next
quickly,
up, yes,
Persia is stronger than D'Angelo. He struggled with her strong arms because it wasn't yank. It was give it to me. She got strong arms, so I'll give it to her. So if it was like Cora Jade, then I'll start making a lot more jokes. But he did struggle, guys. So it's official. Arm wrestling match. Win.
Okay, but and there was another segment later in the show. I'll skip to it now because it's relevant.
Yeah.
Because there was another segment later in the show where Indy asked Persia if she let go of the crowbar on purpose and hit Dexter Lumis on purpose and everything. And she says, well, stop making excuses because your dude lost. And then Dexter Lumis drew a picture of Walter very fast, and he was just like, fake drawing. I don't care. Don't you start. Shut up.
Because the picture had 2 markers, but he only used 1.
Right.
It had 2 different colors.
That's how you know it's garbage. Yes, there's shenanigans. Wouldn't you know who won the pony? But my point of all of this, because she's like, did you let go of it on purpose? Like, did you intentionally screw Dexter Lumis? You know she did, because she took the crowbar from you. You had it safe, and she took it away from you. She had no reason to do that.
No,
that was the plan otherwise.
Unless she didn't trust Indy to keep the crowbar, so she had to give it to me. I'm stronger than you. In her mind, anything you can do, I can do. Because it's meant to be. Remember, guys, this is NXT American Pie. This is NXT Animal House. So this is like teenage, college age dramas. The whole feud is not over anything significant. It's about who can take care of a crowbar better. He goes, I can do a better job. You're a bit inadequate. And then she proven to be inadequate because she lost the crowbar to Tony D'Angelo. So, yes, this is the crux of the feud. This is the minutia. This is what we're breaking down, guys. Are you strong enough to hold it?
This is what we focus on, not anything that goes on in the match. Which, to be fair, they don't want us to talk about the wrestling, so we talk about the nonsense like this. It's what we all want. Everyone gets what they want. Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler are backstage. Roode said he dominated NXT, and tonight he faces Bron Breakker. There really wasn't much more to that than that. It was kind of just quick. Elektra Lopez faced Fallon Henley. The other, it's like Tatum Paxley and Fallon Henley are the two randomized wrestler names that have come out of NXT recently, and I love them both. Elektra basically squashes her. You know, the giant, ridiculous, over-the-top Beal that Keith Lee hit on Isaiah Cassidy not too long ago? Yeah, well, Elektra Lopez did the exact opposite here. She just kind of like, it was half of a hip toss. You know, it looked like a Beal, but she just kind of like twisted her over. She barely left her feet. It wasn't very good. I don't want to rag on it too much, but it was rough. Briggs and Jensen were there at ringside with Fallon Henley. They brawled with Legado del Fantasma. They fought to the back, and Elektra Lopez hit her like side suplex power bomb that she does and won. Wasn't a very good match in my opinion, but it's what you're kind of going to get on like the second or third match of NXT.
Yeah, we've kind of come to expect this, especially with like Elektra Lopez. They don't put her in the ring with like the top of the line women's performers. She's usually in there with someone that's a little less experienced like she is, and Fallon Henley kind of fits the bill. I like what I saw from Fallon Henley. She shows potential at the very least, but yeah, this was a no-nothing match. It went about 3.5 minutes, and that was probably the least enthusiastic Blue Thunder bomb that I ever saw for a finish.
I agree. Sat?
Fallon Henley's got new gear, guys. She wears Daisy Dukes to fit in with the good old boys.
I really did think she was dressed like just a person.
Yeah.
Like this is absolutely someone that I will see walking through Whole Foods. You know? Just like a normal tank top, normal like blue jean shorts, and she was wearing wrestling boots, but still, this, I don't know. This is not a star look.
I think that's the whole point. Even like with Briggs and Jensen, I'm like, if you're gonna lean into being good old boys, at least be like Acolyte 2.0. Give some stiff shots. You know, it's something. Yeah. They're just so bland. They're the kind of guys, because Tony D is missing a crew, by the way. I mean, all that talk he does about being a Don, he needs a couple of flunkies. We've got a couple of good old boys with no direction. One's a virgin whose dad was part of Right to Censor. One's another generic guy, I don't know, footballer, whatever. They need direction. So put them with, you know, Tony D, hey, make him honorary Italian or whatever. It's something. They, for me, are the portion of American Pie I've been talking about, the worst part, the virgin storyline. Is Elektra Lopez going to bust his nut or something?
I mean, if we have to see Brooks Jensen making love to a pie, that's where this crosses the line for me on NXT reviews. But yeah, I do get what you're saying, but they wouldn't fit in with Tony D because they're not Italian. They have to be a part of the family.
They're not a part of the family. They flunk the drivers. You fix my bathroom. You be my driver. You could be my handmaiden.
No. They be couriers. They be the guys that are gonna pick up the package and give it to Tony D. Well, he's at the restaurant and with the whole with the real mob gang, and he's like, give it to me, man. You're gonna make this delivery here, and we're gonna set you up for life. We're gonna set you up with a good job. All right.
I want to work for SP3. He sold me. Zion Quinn is in the locker room with Draco Anthony. Joe Gacy is just stalking him on his phone. He's sending him very, very tightly edited videos of himself. Very highly produced videos of himself. And Zion Quinn basically just says that if he knows, you know what you have to do. This is the over-scripted backstage segment of the show. He's just like, you know what you have to do, right? He's like, step up, be a man or something. He's like, yeah. If you need me, I've got your back. It was just it could have been like, you know, a Fast and Furious script, just like, you know what you have to do.
I thought the same thing. I was like, Draco is Tyrese, and Zion Quinn is supposed to be a mix of Vin Diesel and Paul Walker at the same time. He's like, I got you back.
And a little bit of The Rock. He's got the Samoan thing going.
That's
Like
true.
if you combine all of them, you get the bad acting of like, well, really all of them, but like the Rock's imposing figure and the dialogue of Vin Diesel. It's perfect. I think we finally figured out what Zion Quinn is.
Guys, question: is this going to lead to Draco joining the cult? Is this the payoff we're going to see? I mean, this.
You know, Sat, I hadn't thought about it.
You haven't?
And I bet they haven't either.
No.
You think they thought about Boa?
No.
Where's Boa, Sat? Where's Boa?
Boa's gone to the PC. He'll be back in 6 months. I don't know. Guys, so you're telling me in this show I'm going to be presenting with SP3, I'll be overthinking things and getting disappointed?
The key,
it's gonna be great, Sat.
The key to reviewing NXT is don't think too much about this stuff. Don't do tope suicidas through the logic holes on the show. Try to enjoy it in a nutshell. And in this segment, the one thing that I had is, where do I get the same cell phone that Joe Gacy has? Because I want my selfie videos to look as good as that.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. Dakota Kai is backstage and says she's with Wendy Chu and says that tonight's their night. There's not really much going on in this promo, but they have cute interaction, cute chemistry together. And we then had Robert Roode versus Bron Breakker, which to me was like the quintessential simple match on this show, because for the first like half of the match, they did absolutely nothing, but like they didn't have to do anything. Robert Roode's heat segment was hitting 2 suplexes. He hooked him for a suplex. He hit a suplex. He stood up. He posed. He got him up. He hit another suplex. That was it. You don't need to do like a bunch of things. I was just kind of like watching. I was like, wrestling really isn't that hard, is it? You know, you can just walk through it very simply and effectively and have a really good match. Of course, it helps if you're Robert Roode and Bron Breakker. That helps a lot. But this match did get going. This ended up being very good by the end. Robert Roode cut off Bron Breakker, hit him with the 2 suplexes, but Bron fired up. Ziggler pulled Roode out of the way, and he hit his shoulder into the post as they went to commercial. This led to Ziggler getting ejected from ringside, and Roode hit a blockbuster. No, not that. Roode hit a neck breaker. Bron hit a Frankensteiner off the top rope, started to fire up. Roode cut him off, hit a spine buster, but Bron reversed the DDT, hit a spear, and then he actually hit the DDT for a near fall that had people chanting, "That was 3, that was 3." Got some "This is awesome" chants in this match, and they exchanged blows, and Robert Roode went for something off the middle rope, and Bron Breakker just caught him and didn't like press him up, just kind of caught him and power slammed him, and that was the finish. A really good match, I thought. And then afterwards, Dolph Ziggler hit the super kick and just kind of yelled at him and said, this NXT title stays with me. You're just berating him. He just kept going. They cut to the next segment. They were like trying to keep the audio in because he hadn't finished saying what he was going to say, but he was really drawing it out. But yeah, I thought this was a good segment and a good match. SP3?
I enjoyed it. I thought that this was probably the best match of the night. These two guys worked really well with each other. Just Robert Roode in NXT just feels like such a bigger star with the glorious theme. It made you remember that this was like the greatest theme that ever came to WWE at one point to a lot of people. A shame on the whole CW crowd for not singing the song. Like we get the song back, and then we got a whole crowd of these people that WWE puts a quarter in and says chant this. It's like they like rev them up and they're like, you're gonna chant this, you're gonna sing that, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. They're very controlled and they don't know how to just go into the moment. We get Glorious back and they're not even singing it. So that's not the only problem I had with this crowd tonight, but that was one of the bigger ones. But the match itself just showed that Robert Roode is such a professional. I loved him doing the Scott Steiner elbow drop into the push-ups with the commentators trying so hard not to mention who that's from. I also enjoyed Bron Breakker. He needs guys like Robert Roode in these matches, so it makes a lot of sense why the Dirty Dogs are getting this run in NXT, because he needs those experienced guys, because he's good in a nutshell. He has the it factor, he has the speed, he has intensity, but there's sometimes in matches you still see that he's a little green and he doesn't know how to go from point A to C. He kind of knows how to go from A to B, but he doesn't know how to complete the whole 3 letters. So you need Robert Roode to kind of guide him to that. And we saw that here. This was probably one of his better matches, 15 minutes, and the finish was nice in a new variation of his finisher. So I like this all around, except for the CW crowd, the CWC crowd, not singing glorious. What is wrong with them?
Pretty wild, isn't it? Like on one show, you've got people that sing CM Punk's song that he hasn't used in like 20 years. And on the other show, you can't get 200 people to chant to sing glorious. I don't want to rag on them too much because I don't like picking on like groups of fans and all, but it's pretty wild. Sat, what did you think of this match?
I think about what could have been, because we got the older Robert Roode, and you're like, man, that guy was a diamond of a character. And then I just think about how they butchered him by debuting in the main roster as a babyface and never really recovered because of it. He's someone I would happily trade to go back to NXT full time. And also seeing him tonight, and also when he did his promo about how he's one of the guys that was a catalyst for why the black and gold brand was so revered, kind of makes me feel like he should have been the guy winning the title, not Dolph Ziggler, because he's got the lineage and the history. I like Dolph Ziggler. I get why they gave him the title, but I feel like because of his history, it would have made more sense. But in this match, coming out with his entrance, the whole presentation, the fans didn't chant it because we all know the CWC crowd is trash. I can't wait for them to evacuate and go to a different building, Full Sail maybe, or somewhere better. But it like SP3 said, and Tempest, you guys said it best. Bron Breakker, he's a blue chipper, as JR used to say. He's got so much potential, still a lot to learn. And at times you see in the ring that although he's got great potential, he shouldn't go to the main roster quite quickly, because I know how much they want to break up to the main roster. But we all know the hardcore wrestling demographic. If you look like you can't wrestle, the chant will come back. You can't wrestle. So he needs to stay.
Very hard to get away from that too.
Ask Cena. It took him a while. He had to show he's got 7 moves of doom, and they still said you can't wrestle. He gave you a stunner. He gave you a hurricane runner. He gave you
code red.
A cold red. Exactly. He gave you that. Was it that martial arts?
His lightning punch or whatever.
Bingo.
The dumbest thing he's ever done.
Yeah, so Bron Breakker needs to slow down more. He's one of those guys, he knows one gear, which is full speed ahead, not slow down a bit, pace up my moves. He's like, bam, 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 boom. He's not American football, guys. He needs to learn how to slow down. So Robert Roode did a good job. But like you said, minimalism, suplex, suplex, heat spot. So yeah.
Less is more. Less is more in this case. We had Bodie Hayward challenging Von Wagner from Chase U. This is my new thing that I care the least about, is this Andre Chase Von Wagner nonsense. This is the new Boa and whatever Boa was doing before. I could not care less.
I love Bodie Hayward. This is my favorite segment of the show. This was the funniest part of the show for me. Bodie Hayward going whole profanity swirls on the student, and then Chase asking him, "Where did you learn this language?" "I learned it from you." And he's like, "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." That was great. I'm sorry. I don't care about it either. I don't care about Encino Man Von Wagner either. So I'm okay with just not thinking too much and just enjoying it in a vacuum.
Sad.
It was Animal House segment. I'm telling you guys, I'm going to repeat this. NXT 2.0 is like a straight to DVD version of those American Pie films that came out after the original films. It's just, this was the uni portion. This is when the teacher has profanity, anger management issues. And then you've got Bodie Haywood, Haywired, Hey wherever, Hey Generica, who kind of looks like, if you squint your eyes, he kind of looks like a Von Wagner, just another generic guy who will never make it in the main roster. Let's be honest, man. He's just going to be a job guy. Unless they give him something interesting, he might become the finest, like Kona Reeves, who knows? But this Bodie character, it's going nowhere. Because when you look at NXT 2.0, they're meant to build up characters for the future. And we know WWE. Andre Chase will go to the main roster. Bodie, you're going to stay behind and do something different. So I don't see a great future for the guy. I don't really know what to see in him. I haven't really seen enough of him. I've seen him being kidnapped. I've seen him being slapped around. I've seen him be berated. He's in this weird toxic relationship with his professor, as we've clearly seen. His star-crossed lovers that can't keep their hands off each other. They had sexual chemistry. I saw it's palpitating. The
And there's
F word.
there's nothing wrong with that at all. Brody Haywood's got that it factor. Do you hear how the CWC fans cheer for him? Yes, it only takes a dime for them to cheer for Brody Haywood. It doesn't take the full quarter like everybody else, but it's still he's got that connection with the crowd. He's the guy they're really pushing with this Chase U stuff, because I hate to tell you once again, Sat, I don't feel very likely for Andre Chase's potential on the main roster, especially because Drew Gulak fits his whole mold and he hasn't been on TV in weeks, so
and
months.
They kind of look like each other a little bit too.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. Now, Andre Chase is the new Simon Dean. To put him on the main roster to put over someone big. That's Andre Chase's ceiling. Yeah, I agree with you.
That's Drew Gulak, and he doesn't get on TV. And Andre Chase is in his late 30s, I believe 40s, and I preferred him more when he was Harlem Bravado, because that is the namesake for my daughter. My wife came up with my name for my daughter by watching Harlem Bravado, the pre-Andre Chase on the Independency.
Look at that. This guy was at the 1986 Curtain Call. That was his first live event. And now he's naming his daughter after an indie wrestler. SP3, get him on the Patreon show, guys. He's got treasure trove of information. He's the guy.
It was Evolve in Brooklyn in June of 2019. That was the first wrestling event I went to with my significant other. We actually were walking it was inside a church, and on the side of the church, who do we see smoking a cigarette, just chilling on the side? Eddie Kingston, and he just gives us the head nod, because we New Yorkers, that's how we say hi. Give us the head nod. He's like, enjoy the show. And then says hi to one of my friends that he knew before, because Eddie Kingston is that dude, New York's own.
SP, save for Patreon. Get on the Patreon, guys. WrestleTalk.
Hell yeah. So next, also, I looked up because I wanted to see, like, in my mind, I was going to say that if you squint hard enough, Brody Haywood looks like Griff Garrison, but I've determined he's just a blonde male. He's just blonde. You know?
He's just a blonde male.
Yeah, he's just a blonde male.
That is his description. Blonde male. Sub.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not going that far. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny that.
What?
The next...
Did he say sub?
You don't know that.
Andre's his dog, and that's the relationship. Sub dog.
I love how he just slid that in, like, very coy. Like, sub.
What's happened to this show?
It's NXT. It got to me. The horniness, the raunchiness, right? That's what we are. The horniest show on WrestleTalk, maybe.
Oh boy, yes. Branded as that, you'll sell so many shirts. So many shirts. The next match, if we can return to this show, was A-Kid versus Grayson Waller. A short match. A really short match, in fact. This was the other qualifier match for the North American title ladder match. And A-Kid almost got a really cool finish on, like, really early, because Grayson Waller went for his stupid rolling stunner, rather. And A-Kid just caught him with a choke. And they landed in a really cool bump because they all hit at the same time. And it was really, really well executed. And everyone popped and they went crazy and they were chanting tap out. And they thought they were going to see a really big upset. Maybe they should have. I don't know. Either way, he gets out of that. He hits like a jawbreaker and then immediately rolls out of the ring and then rolls into the ring and hits the stunner. This is my new most hated finisher. It like got on my nerves a couple weeks in a row, and I was like, that's kind of dumb. He should stop doing it. And he did it one more time, and I was like, all right, you ruined it. This move is dumb.
It's like a buckshot lariat. He needs to rev his engine, no? He needs to go up and get that full flip. I don't know. I want to say something quickly. SP3, you weren't here last week, so me and Tempest were talking about A-Kid made his debut. He didn't have an entrance. He got part of an entrance.
He got half an entrance.
He got part of an entrance.
It's progress. We're getting closer.
He had his generic Evanescence music when he came out. I was like, that's not that shouldn't be A-Kid's song. He's like, whatever the lyrics are. I'm like,
Wake me up inside.
That's
what-
like me.
yeah.
That's the song. That's the jam.
I thought, A-Kid would have he needs a more serious. I don't know, his theme was just generic as heck. The female vocalist, I was like, it doesn't connect with the character, but at least it got half the entrance. That's better than no entrance, which was last week. Half.
It's true.
It's
true.
I think that was pretty much no entrance. He's gone 2 weeks with no entrance. This shows you how much they care about him. This match barely went 3 minutes, with Grayson Waller winning in the end, which I pretty much said on the last time I was on here with Tempest that Waller was gonna be in this North American ladder match only because we want to see the Hardaway off the ladder, the Hardaway through the legs, elbow drop. We want to see that off the ladder. That's going to be the big spot of this NXT North American title ladder match. But once again, the best part of this whole entire segment was Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett, Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes coming out, being a booker first, booking the triple threat losers matchup for next week with Cameron Grimes, A-Kid, and Roderick Strong. And then Trick Williams dropping the line of the night, says, I'm about to take out a mama. I loved it. He's gonna take out a mama and he's gonna be a stepdad by next week. Let's go.
Oh
great bars,
God.
great bars.
We
But
really
guys-
need, we need to get back to managers. Like, I don't need to see Trick Williams wrestle. I just need him to say things like this, like every week.
He's the best part of the show. Just let
Yeah.
Trick Williams just say one-liners because he always makes me laugh hysterically. Like, I don't need to see his 95% stomp offense. I just need him to be on the mic and on commentary week after week.
But guys, we both know that this duo is gonna get broken up when main roster comes calling. Carmelo Hayes is gonna go to the main roster, and guys will say he's not the same without Trick Williams, or Trick Williams was the charisma, or Carmelo Hayes is too, laid back on the microphone. We need some aggression or whatever. But what I will say quickly is, do you think HBK looks at A-Kid? He goes, "Your name is Kid? I once knew a kid. How did we build him up? You should lose a lot, huh? You're like a 1, 2, 3 kid, I see." I don't know. I'm kind of worried that that's going to be HBK's reference. Even though he was in charge of NXT UK, he knows what A-Kid can bring to the table. He also knows what Vince wants. So he doesn't want to do a Triple H where it's like, no. You're my pet project. I'm going to push you the way I want to push you, and Vince will get it. But he'll just be like, what would relate to Vince more? Yeah, you're a small guy. Yeah, you can wrestle, but heat spot. Don't do much. Heat spot.
Could well be. Could very well be. Von Wagner says next week's about Bodie Hayward, and then after that, they're going to move on. Robert Stone walks off to discuss business. Nonsense. Who cares? The Creed brothers face the Grizzled Young Veterans. I love the Grizzled Young Veterans so much. They're cutting a promo during their entrance, and they said, listen, if we were going to jump the Creeds, and they jumped the Creeds. Brilliance. I love Zach Gibson. I absolutely love Zach Gibson. He's fantastic. Again, another very simple match. There wasn't a whole lot to it. The Creeds had control. Drake hit an Enziguri on Julius and hit Poetry in Motion on Brutus. Grizzled Young Vets teamed up on Julius until he escaped Doomsday Device. Drake tweaked his knee when he went for the jump part, and then the Creeds hit a double team slam for the win. And that was the match. Afterwards, we got like a vignette on the screen showed to the Creeds as they showed a couple of hooded dudes just tearing up the Diamond Mine set. So I guess those are the two people that attacked them in the parking lot, and they were like texting. And the text was showing up on screen, so this was very clearly not live. You can't do that live. But regardless, it's a mystery. Who did it, boys? I see. It's difficult. I was kind of like, you got to pay attention to like little details in moments like this. I was looking to see if like one of them was white and one of them wasn't, because I was thinking that. I still think that it's MSK that did it, because they're the only ones that benefited from the Creed brothers getting attacked. Like, they got the tag team title shot out of it. They're the only ones that benefited. I don't see a reason why anyone else did it. That being said, that might be more thought being put into it than NXT is giving it. And it could just be a new team. And fair enough to that. But I don't know. What do you guys think? SP3, who attacked the Creed brothers? I don't know who did it.
I mean, all the signs are there. It's retribution. It's T-Bar and Mace. T-Bar and Mace are going back down to the NXT, and they're gonna feud with the Creed brothers, have some big beefy boy tag team matches. But in all actuality, you're not too far off with MSK, because the immediate next segment showed that it wasn't Imperium, because Imperium was backstage with Gunther talking about his matchup that was up next. So it couldn't be them. We didn't see MSK till later on after the Gunther match, so it could have been them. So I don't think you're far off. They're still the lead suspects in this whole thing, or it could be a new tag team that they're introducing. I kind of saw that the person had cowboy boots. Could be Brooks and Jensen. Maybe the whole reason that they suggested that it was Legado del Fantasma is to throw it off the scent of them being the assailants. So there's a couple of different options here, but the text message and the mask made me think about retribution. So I'm gonna go with them until otherwise. T-Bar has said on social media that it wasn't him, but I think that's to take us off the scent as well.
Heck yeah.
I don't think it's MSK because they're tall. They're taller than what MSK's stature usually is.
True.
Even though they didn't stop Retribution from having short people, then having giant people. So yeah, it's true. But it's on the chat. Something about an NXT UK Tag Team Champion might be debuting. Pretty deadly. I don't watch NXT UK, but I've been seeing that a certain NXT UK Tag Team may be debuting in the main roster. So a lot of people have been assuming is actually them, and it's their way of being introduced as an instant threat, because at the moment the Creed brothers have been kind of positioned after Imperium as the other top dog tag team at NXT. So I think it might be a new tag team, as that was one of the options we had. So it might be a new tag team.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, we need new tag teams in NXT, and Pretty Deadly is a good tag team. So that's something to look forward to, at least. Right on. We've got just a little bit left as we wrap up the show, as Walter took on Duke Hudson. The best match on the entire show, not even close. It was just chops. I will read my notes verbatim. The notes for this match are chop from Walter, chop from Walter, chop from Walter. This man should be NXT champion. Holy S-word chants from a chop. Duke hits a slam, but Walter hits more chops and the power bomb and wins. This man is a perfect wrestler. That's it. That's all I want from my wrestling is Walter matches. He says after the match that he's still being overlooked, and he's immediately interrupted by LA Knight. He interrupts LA Knight's promo, says he's a disgrace for, just being LA Knight and not respecting wrestling and doing his talking with his words and such. And LA Knight says if he interrupts him again, he's gonna like knock his block head off of his dad bod, which I thought was a funny but also mean line. We don't body shame around here. And he fights Imperium, and MSK come out to have his back. Walter is the goddamn man. He is a perfect wrestler. He is like, he somehow, he's so special that his specialness like shines through on NXT. His specialness is able to survive the WWE like deep pressure cleaning that everyone goes through as they go through NXT.
Yeah, that's not Walter. Like I know why he changed his name, because it's like new year, new me. That man is like night and day from what he was 4 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. Like he's in tremendous shape. So I can understand if he wanted a new name. So I'm gonna call him Gunther from now on. Gunther. And because that man is still got the Walter chop. So that's all that really matters. This crowd chanted like it was a table spot when he bloodied Duke Hudson's chest. He did it with one chop. I just saw Hiromu Takahashi versus Minoru Suzuki land 230 chops on each other and bleed their chests, but Walter did it in one. So it is the equivalent of 230 chops to one when it comes to Gunther. This man is going to be the next NXT champion. All Bron Breakker has to do is win the title from Dolph Ziggler, hold it on to SummerSlam weekend, because Gunther is about to take it, and he's going to have a hell of a run with that title, just like he did with the NXT UK championship.
Can't imagine him not having a good run in anything that he's doing.
No,
he's just perfect. He's perfect, Sat.
Duke Hudson failed the Hoss test. This was his moment. Like, Gunther can take a good chop. He should have did like Test and Brock Lesnar. You think Test was worried about Brock Lesnar's credentials? He's like, nah, I'm from Canada, eh? Hey, he went for it. You know what I'm saying? That for me is still the best host match ever. They went at it. It's like two cars colliding. Duke Hudson kind of tried with his little chops back, but he did not give the aggression that Gunther gave. Gunther is stacked. And LA Knight's comment about the dad bod is about 2 years too late. When he said that, like, dude, you could tell that material he had it hidden in his treasure chest from 2 years ago. So he went dad bod. I was like, if that's a dad bod, then hey, that's a heck of a dad bod. Because Gunther's a stud muffin now. He's got bones and everything, and he's. You know.
I was like, LA Knight's in great shape, but I'll take Gunther's chest. Did you see his chest was just like his chest was about to hit LA Knight when he said that. Like his chest was all out there, man. He looks in tremendous shape. That was a bad line because he does not have a dad bod. I got a dad bod. He don't.
Well, we will see. Hell yeah! Woo! Look at that, man. Woo!
Sexy man.
Go.
Buff daddy.
Well, they did announce that match will be at Stand and Deliver, LA Knight versus Walter. I'm not turning my back on the movement. I'm not getting away with this. And Cameron Grimes talked in a vignette about his dad and said he will go to Stand and Deliver and win, which, to be fair, I think is pretty much exactly what Sat predicted was going to happen. So I do think that is most likely going to happen at the show. Well, I don't know that he's going to win the title, but I think he's going to win the three-way to advance to the show for sure. And honestly, of the people involved, Cameron Grimes winning the NXT North American title, that makes a good amount of sense to me.
He pulled the dad card. I'm sorry, you cannot go back. He pulled the dad card. You could not undo that. He has to win the whole thing. He has to do the whole.
Great for Dante Chen.
Sorry, you mentioned this guy. Who is this Dante guy? I haven't seen him in weeks. There's a missing. He's in the milk carton. Who's Dante? Dante Chen? Who's that?
There's a guy named Dante Chen who was like, he was on TV in like September and he had one match and got hurt. And when he came back, he cut a promo in a vignette and said, I could only have one match and my dream was to wrestle in front of my dad. And he got to see my NXT debut and then he passed away while I was rehabbing my injury. So now every match that I have is dedicated to you, Dad. And it was like really powerful. And then Duke Hudson beat him up 2 weeks in a row and he hasn't been seen since.
Yeah, but we all know that WWE is very discriminatory. We know why they did what they did.
Absolutely.
But it's Cameron Grimes.
I hadn't thought of this being done by a Southerner as opposed to
exactly. It makes most. They're like Dante doesn't have that connection with the crowd. They don't care about that story. Cameron Grimes been there for too long. He's another guy should have been graduated. Io Shirai, all of them graduated a long time ago. Why are you in here? You've gone through so many gimmick changes. I don't know what to do with you anymore because we've rinsed out your story progression. Get out. So now he's gonna win the title, hopefully. If not, just get out. Loser leaves. Sorry, Cameron Grimes at the moment is like a sad sack. I don't like it. I like him as a creepy Southerner, or I like him as a millionaire, as a douche.
Yeah.
Go back to money. I
was like, there. I understand this is WWE's way of preparing him for the main roster call up by giving him a little bit more depth of character, building sympathy for him as a babyface because they don't know how to make baby faces that are just badass. They have to make the sympathetic babyface. But I much rather prefer the guy who was stacking money to the moon over this. Yeah. Like, I don't want to cry with Cameron Grimes. I want to see him smile his way to the top. I don't want to see him cry his way to the top. That's just me.
He has decidedly less energy than he would otherwise. And I think that, like, you can tell a story and change his character and everything. That's not the problem. It's just like, I feel like the change has lessened his character.
Yes.
It makes him a less interesting character, a less fun character. Yeah, he's a bit bland.
I never thought it'd be a thing. That's how you know the WWE system can be flawed sometimes. Like, I do trying to cape because I don't want it to be too much ragging on them. I try to look at the optimistic side. But Cameron Grimes was legit one of my favorite guys. I knew he always entertained me, something outlandish. I want him to chuck money at drivers or whatever. I want him to do more outlandish things. I want him to be with Persia Peroda. I think that pairing would be even more funnier than Duke Hudson, who's a dud. WWE just give up on the guy. He's a dud. You showed us. WWE like showing things. He did not go toe-to-toe with Gunther. Solo Sikoa did a much better job. Duke Hudson, no offense, guy, future endeavor. I'm sorry, you're just not it. But yeah, Tempest,
Damn.
back to you.
Put him on the unemployment line real quick.
He's
But
not cutting it.
I
Or
do
tag to
agree.
Von Wagner.
I do agree with you though that he is Cameron Grimes is one of the favorites for this North American title ladder match. It's between him, Waller, and Carmelo Hayes who's going to win this one. But yeah, I just want Cameron Grimes to go back to where he was 6 months ago. He seemed like a surefire main roster star, and now he just seems like, yeah, just bland, like meh. I don't really care anymore.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's a really big shame. I had another point to make about Cameron Grimes, and I totally forgot about it.
I'm so
And
sorry.
yeah. It's
Was it the facial hair, the dad card? Am I trying to joke?
No, I don't think so. It might come back to me, but we are at the end of the show. Like, we've wrapped up everything. I thought this was like a good episode of NXT, all things considered. There were some dumb parts, but like the matches and everything, none of the matches made me angry, which is important.
The number one thing the show has going for it over the other WWE shows is they are really focused on stand and deliver, and every segment seems to be building towards stand and deliver, and there's some excitement for the event, which I don't feel watching Raw and SmackDown about WrestleMania. So I have to give NXT a lot of credit. I said this, the first time I did the review with Tempest, and now we're here a month later, and I still feel it, that they're, even with a roadblock that they had in the middle of it, they have still kept that focus on stand and deliver a lot more than Raw and SmackDown has that focus and that building of excitement for WrestleMania.
I don't disagree. Sat, your final thoughts on the show?
Cameron Grimes, stop crying. It was a good show, like you said. Another thing that I like about NXT, positives. There ain't that much rematches. That I can cope with. There ain't that much rematches. They do fresh matchups to a degree, and everything seems like it means something. It's not frivolous at times. It's a bit too horny, but it's not frivolous. So yes, that's my final thought. I know we need to wrap up, so I need to shut my mouth.
Tremendous. Well, I will give the last call for Ultrachats. If you want to get in your Ultrachats, make sure you do them now. Everyone that is $5 or above at WrestleTalk.com. The link is right here. The link is also in the chats because we have wonderful mods that give out the chat. They give out the link throughout the show. And the legit underboss says, so in WWE kayfabe, who's a bigger loser, Brooks Jensen or Byron Saxton? Also, how long till Vince sees a kid and turns him into a matador? This is a depressing Ultra Chat. Probably not long for the second half of that question. And who's a bigger loser, Brooks Jensen or Byron Saxton? Yes.
No, it's Brooks Jensen.
It's definitely Brooks Jensen. He's the
definitely
biggest loser I've seen from WWE in a long time.
Paul McGillicuddy is a loser. And may I add, the Saxton can actually whoop Graves' ass in real life. I think the whole joke is Saxton is actually a bit of a stud and a badass, but I don't know, it doesn't make sense. He's miscast as a dweeb. You look at him, we have to pretend he's Carlton Banks when he's actually a put together guy and can probably snap the pencil neck of that, Corey Graves, the gaslighter.
He's more coked out Carlton from Bel Air than he is Carlton Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Tremendous. Well, that will do it for our Ultra Chats this week. And with that, my guys, I will hand the torch over to you. And you know what, SP3, I'll let you sign this one off. It's been fun, guys. Enjoy NXT.
Yes, we are here. It is the start of the Mocha 2.0 era on NXT 2.0 review here on the WrestleTalk Podcast. See, we both got our designer. His one is a little bit more lighter than mine, which is pun intended, I guess. Oh, there you go. See, now we're the same color. The Mocha 2.0 is here, ladies and gentlemen. Even in the darkness, we are here for you. LIW was for life, and Mocha 2.0 is forever. And we are going to start it up next week. Myself and Sat reviewing the Go Home show to Stand and Deliver. Sat, any final remarks for the people as we go into the Mocha 2.0 era?
ladies and gentlemen, as we now take over the show, it's gonna be live, uncut, wild, great takes. You got Sat E and you got SP3. So please join us next week. Please give us a chance. We ain't gonna fail you guys. We're gonna give you love, some humor. We're gonna continue the LIJ tradition. So yeah, all I got to say is please tune in next week. It's gonna be awesome. SP3, you the man. They trust you to sign off because they know I'll F it up.
Yes, we love you all. Join us for Mocha Mania next week at 7 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the WrestleTalk YouTube channel, WrestleTalk Podcast YouTube channel. So, Tempest, you could press that button now because we are signing off.